Lots of one-possession games, a questionable 4th and 4 call, 3 overtimes, and a running back that had only 3 carries and 105 yards and 2 touchdowns. What a crazy week 4 we had. And now we're here. Welcome to the Friday, October 5th edition of the Blitz Zone, week 5. What was your impression about this past week? And by the way, I'm Eric Rosen, coming to you live from the studio of CTV in Staten Island, New York. And this is Mr. Corey Valdez. Sorry, folks, that I went on a bit of a rant like that. But, Corey, what was your impression of that this past week?
A lot of close games, definitely. I saw some blowouts actually turn into a neck and neck horse race. There was a lot of overtime games. I think you said it, 3. Wow. A lot of close calls and a lot of 4th down. Let's go for it. I love it.
I know. I think the most questionable still, and everybody's going to, I think will agree, Frank Reich's decision in the game for the Colts against the Texans. It's 34 all. You have a chance at least to get a tie. I know that's not a victory, Frank, but a tie is better than a loss. But you're in your own end zone. And this reminded me almost remember the game with Belichick against the Colts years ago where he decided in his own territory to go for it and they didn't convert?
Yes, it's big. Sometimes you got to put the ball and say, hey, defense, man up. Let's stop it. You're at your own 40. You kick it. You put them at that 20 or 30. They have to go 80 to maybe 70, 80 yards. You have a better shot. You miss it, oof. Now all of a sudden you got a shortened field. They make 10 to 15 yards, field goal range, lights out. That's the last thing you want.
And that's exactly what happened. But, Frank Reich's justification, as he calls it, because I love how he explained it. Oh, I'm not here to go for ties. Okay, Frank, I understand that. But again, what's better, a tie or a loss? I don't know. It's like the $1 million question right there.
Yeah. A tie is like kissing your sister. No one likes it. It's just like whatever, next. You go for the win. I understand what he's going for, but sometimes you just got to trust your defense. Frank, so close.
Well, anyway, I'll tell you this. It was a really poor decision on his part for sure for Frank to do that. But he'll have to just learn from his mistakes in the future. Now, as for the other games, especially the other 2 overtime games, you look at the Cleveland-Oakland game right there. That was Baker Mayfield. They had this game, and they blew it big time, and they were up 42-34, and they allowed Carr to get back in this game and get the big 2-point conversion to force overtime, and then McCrane eventually getting the game-winning field goal. So, that was another game that they let slip by.
Yeah, right through the fingers. And I called it last week. I said Chucky was going to get his first win. It's tough. The Cleveland Browns, they're just like one piece away from really becoming a team. I'm not going to say they're going to win all their games, but they can definitely be one piece away from a 500 club. Win one, lose one here and there.
What's up with the Giants' O-line? And that's the problem, especially this past week against the Saints. The Jets were no better. Both teams were terrible. I don't know what was worse, really, the Jets losing the way they did to the Jaguars or the Giants giving up 3 big touchdowns, rushing touchdowns in the second half to the Saints. I don't know. It's kind of tough for me to decide, which one is worse.
As a Giant fan, I only just care that the Giants' offensive line is in shambles, and when you got the guys running wild on you and they're just running like a Swiss cheese defense, some of the guys need to either start stepping up or maybe start coming up with better play schemes, hiding those blitz packages and start plugging those holes, because right now it seems like everybody's getting on them.
And do you think this has somewhat to do with Olivier Vernon missing in that defense?
Yes, he was a nice cog. He actually warrants that extra attention. Once you actually take him off the line, yes, you got Snacks, you got a few others, but sometimes you just need them all working and firing on the same cylinders. Once you start missing a major piece, sometimes the engine doesn't run right.
Yeah, it was definitely, when he's not there, he's not there to plug, those running backs. But even if he was there, honestly,
contain.
Yeah, it would be almost tough to contain a guy like Alvin Kamara. He is a one-man army on a mission. He's a Terminator with 2 legs who can basically run the ball with no compunction for anybody.
Abandonment.
Yeah, definitely a lot of reckless abandonment. But the guy is just outstanding. How he's able to come out of the backfield, how you can line him up in the slot in open space. He's even more dangerous in open space than Mark Ingram was.
Yes.
And then you got a guy like Ted Ginn, too, to add to the craziness that they have in their offensive core. And Mike Thomas, who really, him and Odell Beckham are almost the same type of receiver.
Premier wide receiver, top of the line, top notch. Mike Thomas definitely gets it done, opens up a little bit for Ginn, and then if you decide to start dropping safeties back to cover them, Kamara's like a wrecking ball. He's just going to ruin your day, knock down all your pillars, and you're going to be hurting.
As for the Jets, I have to say this past week was it was really abysmal to watch the way they played. That was almost like watching a colonoscopy take place on the field. And
Ouch.
Yeah, it was not fun to watch the Jets play against Jacksonville. And Blake Bortles, ever since week one when they manhandled Detroit 48-17, they've scored a combined 41 points in the last 3 games. And it's due in fact to Bortles' terribly, really untimed, badly interceptions that take place and turnovers. And especially in the Miami game, that's where things really got bad. The Miami game where you had those 2 interceptions turning into points. And last week against Jacksonville, that defense really ran roughshod all over them. And they made Blake Bortles look like Joe Montana. They gave up 388 yards to the guy, 503 total yards they gave up to the Jags offense.
Yes.
And this is without Leonard Fournette.
Yes, Leonard Fournette was gone. He wound up getting injured in the second, so he's done for a little while.
Yeah.
And that offense isn't that explosive, so that's basically sometimes you got to weigh it out. Was it a good offense or a bad defense? I'm going with a bad defense. This one I'm going to swing it and say their offense is a little bit about average. I think the Jets' defense is a below average, and that's why you had the manhandling by Blake Bortles, who for me is a B- quarterback.
Yeah. No, he's not what you consider the elite quarterback, but he does, and let's not forget, he's missing several people on his offensive line too, as well. And you're playing with your second string running back in TJ Yeldon, and they still were able to win the way they did. So right there, it's an indictment really on the Jets defense, and it's an indictment on on a quarterback, and it's just it's never gonna get any better. It's really Sam Darnold. I don't know if it gets any better than week 1. And they got the Broncos this week. I'm going to that game with my mom. I got tickets from a very good friend of mine, Lloyd Thompson, whose wife owns the Little Victory Theater. Alberta Thompson, great people. He actually is a former detective too in the NYPD. He was also he's a lawyer too and a rock and roller. He's got a band called The Resistance if you ever get a chance to see him. And he really is just the nicest, kindest guy in the whole world. So thank you, Lloyd, for the tickets. Me and my mom are going to enjoy the game and probably watch Denver run roughshod over the Jets. I'm thinking Von Miller is going to make mincemeat out of Darnold and throw him around like a rag doll. Speaking of, WWE is going to be there, so who knows? Maybe he'll do a tombstone pile driver over him.
Yeah, that's not going to be good. It's going to be like watching a car crash. It's like you know that it's just there's going to be ugly, there's going to be glass everywhere, but yet you can't look away.
It's like watching a tackling dummy get knocked down. Yikes. Unless the offensive line. The offensive line can... Yeah, but you're going to have to do 2 people on him, and then you got Bradley Chubb coming up who's going to knock him down.
Yeah.
It does not matter. And this week, I don't think Case Keenum, though, has to finally get a touchdown. He hasn't had a touchdown the last week. He has 6 interceptions to 3 touchdowns. You brought him in because of what he did last year. He had only 7 interceptions all of 2017, and now he has 6 in 4 weeks. That really is a big turnaround right there. Is he the quarterback that people thought of as an also-ran from years ago, or is he going to finally step up to be the quarterback he was last year?
I think he's just going to keep sliding further and further down that slide. They're going to have to sit down and maybe reevaluate the quarterback position. They got that defensive lineman to go with Von Miller to make that defense solid, but part of me is thinking maybe you guys might have banked on getting that franchise quarterback.
I know. How about Atlanta? The last few weeks, heartbreaking loss after heartbreaking loss at the very end. The New Orleans game, and most recently, the loss against the Bengals on a last-second touchdown drive engineered by Andy Dalton to the hometown kid, A.J. Green. This, it's not the Falcons are not a bad team. Don't let their record fool you. They actually are they're just a bunch of injuries, on the defense. That's what's taking place. A lot of injuries on that defense, and that's why they have to score 30-plus points a game because of the lack of players they have in that defense.
Yeah, they're under the same model and the same brand as the New Orleans Saints. We're not going to stop you. We're just going to try to outshoot you. And sometimes it doesn't get done in the NFL. It's very rare where you have a Drew Brees and so many weapons that you're going to score 40 to 50 points a game.
Oh, yeah. Well, let's get into some of the games. Oh, by the way, we have two undefeated teams left, Rams and
Chiefs.
And speaking of the first of those two teams, Monday night, Chiefs, Denver. Denver, of course, the team that we just discussed just a few seconds ago, are going to be traveling. Who the hell made this schedule? They play Monday night at home, and then they got to go to the East Coast for a Sunday game at 1 o'clock. I don't know why they didn't make the Sunday game against the Jets a 4:20.
The 4 or even like the 8 o'clock. But then again, oof.
Who would want to see
the travel schedule and the Jets at night? That's not a good one.
Yeah, who the heck would want to see? And I'm a Jet fan saying this, folks. Who the heck would want to see the Jets play in prime time right now with the way they're playing? Week 1 was a different situation, yes, Monday night. But this time around, nobody wants to see the Jets play on prime time until they get something done. Anyway, they got the Broncos. Well, they did play another prime time against Cleveland, and they blew that one. Yes. Again, now, Kansas City, Denver. In this game right here, it looked like Kansas City basically took a 10-3 lead on a Patrick Mahomes touchdown, 8-yard keeper. Then Royce Freeman, the rookie out of Oregon, third rounder for the Broncos, ties it up with a 14-yard touchdown pass from Case Keenum. That's Keenum's third of the year, evading 7 tacklers, taking a linebacker with him across the goal line.
Yeah, dragging him.
Basically, you're coming with me for the ride. Here you go. Have fun. It's 10-all. Eventually, McManus makes it 13-10 with a field goal. Then the game tied by Harrison Butker, making it 13-all. Then eventually the Broncos take a 23-13 lead on a 1-yard touchdown run by Philip Lindsay, the other rookie running back, and a 46-yard field goal by Butker. They're up 23-13. You would think the Broncos, fourth quarter, 10-point lead, are able to play, but they go to their prevent defense crap. And
that's the worst, the prevent defense. It's like you're giving up everything underneath. You're trying to cover the over the top, and then a good quarterback and a good scheme, they're going to be hitting those sidelines and timeouts, and next thing you know it, they're on your doorstep, knocking on your goal line.
Mahomes engineers a 12-play, 75-yard drive, culminating with a 2-yard touchdown pass to the best tight end in all of football, Travis Kelce, who got the wind knocked out of him in this game, but he's healthy, thank goodness. Then a 60-yard drive with the 4-yard touchdown run by Kareem Hunt, who led the league last year and is still one of the top 5 running backs of the year, gets a 4-yarder. Rushing score with about a minute 39 remaining, and they're up 27-23. So Denver, of course, is marching down the field. They get to the Kansas City 28. Ball snap to Keenum. Right sideline. Open pass to Marius Thomas. What would be the game winner? And then he overthrows him. Misses that. Then, of course, Cortland Sutton, the rookie from SMU, gets the pass, gets a first down. That's great. But what does he do, the genius? Does a hook and ladder play that basically goes nowhere with 5 seconds to go. The ball's turned over on downs. Kansas City takes out the clock. They win 27-23. Oh, speaking of the New York Giants, of course, they're up 12. They're down 12-7. They had a great first half. They reduced New Orleans to 4 field goals.
Yes.
And then comes the second half, and Alvin Kamara basically, remember that scene in Forrest Gump when he gets the touchdown and he's running all the way home?
Yes, he runs all the way into and I'm running. And he ran all the way into the hole, the way to where the opposing team comes out of.
Exactly.
Alabama.
And Alvin basically did that. He had a 49-yard run, and he ran into the
tunnel.
And it was almost reminiscent of that movie, and That was the biggest run of the day, and they win 33-18. The only scoring that the Giants were able to do in this game was Saquon Barkley, the 2-point conversion by Shepard, and the field goal by Eldrick Rosas in the second half. Other than that, they could not get anything. They couldn't generate really that much offense, and the defense was just equally terrible.
Yep, that offensive line, it makes and breaks you. You can't expect Eli to pull magic out, especially if he's under 3 seconds and duress.
Oh, how about Phil? How about this, man? It was really bad, and I'm sorry for Giant fans. They have to endure this. I'm sorry for both our fan bases. We're enduring a bad season altogether. This could be
loyalty. We stick with our teams, though. We don't trade up and we don't bandwagon.
Yeah, we don't go. We're not Johnny-come-latelys. You know, and that's the thing that burns me sometimes are the Johnny-come-lately fans. And I know that I probably spurned some of them from ever watching my show, but come on, you know, stick with the team through thick and thin. That to me is a fan. That's just how I feel.
Loyalty,
all the way. Speaking of loyalties, how about the 49ers and their offense's loyalty to the new quarterback, C.J. Beathard? You know, and I feel bad for Jimmy Garoppolo. He tears his ACL. This guy was supposed to be having a promising season, building on 2017 where he went 5-0.
Yeah.
Gets a $137.5 million contract extension. That's, you know, I would love $137.5. Who wouldn't love that? They lose their running back before the season even begins. Now they lose him. They got to go to C.J. Beathard. His work was about 1-4, the 55% completion percentage. 57 seconds into the game, Antoine Eason gets a pick six, a 30-yarder off of Phillip Rivers. Yes. Intended pass for Keenan Allen, so they're up 7-0. Caleb Sturgis misses the field goal for San Diego from 54 yards out. What does the Niners do? They get another touchdown. Kendrick Bourne, a 14-yarder. It's 14-0. Eventually, Los Angeles gets on the scoreboard, wide open to Antonio Gates. I never thought he was coming back.
Yeah, he was demoted to second string. He just can't keep up with the grinding, and the man still finds a way every once in a while to get into the end zone. So it's been a while since he scored.
And he's actually now the number one. They brought him in because their number one tight end tore his ACL in May, way before training camp. So they had to go to him. They had to go to the well, and they got, you know, the old workhorse, and he is one of the greatest workhorse tight ends. And unfortunately, the extra point was missed. And then it's 14-6 at that point. Robbie Gould gets a field goal, 17-6. Then River finds Eckler on a single go route play for a 22-yard touchdown and a 48-yard field goal by Caleb Sturgis. Then the Chargers score yet again with Melvin Gordon, a 6-yarder touchdown pass. Caleb Sturgis is a 25-yarder. Then with 2:50 remaining, Beathard gets the team back on track with an 86-yard to George Kittle, who's really an awesome tight end. And then Robbie Gould's 33-yarder. It's 27-26. So the Niners have a 1-point lead with 12 minutes to go in the game, but of course they don't maintain it. They find a way to lose. Caleb Sturgis, 21-yarder with 7:41 left. Niners lose to the Chargers, 29-27. Patriots at home. Dolphins trying to win their first game in New England since 2008 and go 4-0 for the first time since 95 when Don Shula was the head coach. Donnie, love him.
Nice.
And
yeah, the Patriots do what the Patriots do. They get their boy back after the 4-game suspension, spread it around, and actually I was quite shocked to see how quick and everything was going, and even Josh Gordon able to contribute. I was thinking he was going to be maybe 2 or 3 weeks away from being full. So I was like, all right, maybe this week they'll use him a little bit sparingly, put Hogan. They actually threw him in there. The boy actually got a catch, got a score, and tell us about Tom Brady, Mr. 500.
Mr. 500. In both this game, in the Dolphins game, and last night against the Colts, both games, they scored 38 points. Identical 38 points. That's 76 points combined in these two wins. And not only that, in the Dolphins game, they held the Dolphins to 3 of 13 on third down to 172 total yards. And not only that, the Dolphins committed 10 egregious penalties for 89 yards on the day, despite the fact that Brady threw 2 picks. But he had his array of receivers, and the debut of Sony Michel, the rookie out of Georgia, 125 yards on 25 carries and a touchdown, and James White scoring and receiving. But that wasn't the best part. The best part was they're up 3-0. Then all of a sudden, on a crazy pass, Cordell Patterson over his shoulder catches the ball, does a little juke and jive, stutter step, to the right side over T.J. McDonald, the safety, for the touchdown. They're up 10-0. And the acrobatic pass to Philip Dorsett. They win 38-37. Dolphins, lost their first game of the year, and they're only up by maybe a half game now, especially last night. Patriots have the Colts, and Mr. 500, he joins the club. Welcome. And not only that, he threw to his 71st different receiver. That's an NFL record right there. And the 71st person was, Mr. Gordon.
Yeah, that's unbelievable.
The Gordon's Fisherman.
Not only do you win 38 points, you rough up Miami, kick your little brother. That's what that was. They're always running shop in their division. Your little brother comes over, you got to put him into his place. You got to smack him down, let him know I'm still the big brother. And then on a shortened week, you go and just, you didn't really manhandle the Colts, but you made it interesting. And, hey, Bill Belichick, Tom Brady, always find a way to get it done.
Well, hopefully, it was really, it was not fun to watch with Andrew Luck at times in the game, but there were moments where he had some good plays. Especially, they were down 24-17, and they still had opportunity after opportunity, and yet New England just closed the book on them no matter what. And even Gostkowski with the 45-yard field goal early in that game. Colts lose 38-24. But getting back to Week 4, Eagles, Titans. Basically, the Eagles had an opportunity to win in regulation. It's 17-all. DeAndre Carter gets a big 42-yard punt return to the Titans 39 with about a minute 41 left. Incomplete pass by Carson Wentz, who is in his second straight game coming back from that ACL injury. They had to settle for the actually, they're down 2017 at that time. They had to settle for the game-tying 30-yard field goal by Jake Elliott. They get the ball again in overtime, not able to convert. They had to settle for yet another field goal. They're up 23-20. So the Titans get the ball back. And on this crazy drive, one penalty by the Eagles and 3 fourth-down conversions. The first one, Taywan Taylor on a 4th and 15 on a 19-yard pass. Then Mario rolls to his left on a screen pass to Deion Lewis on 4th and 2, goes for a 17-yard gain. And then eventually it's 3rd and goal. Clock is about to expire. Runs to his left, throws with his right to the hands of Corey Davis, second-year player at Western Michigan, and boom, he gets the game winner. First touchdown in a regular season game.
Yes.
26-23 in overtime. Had 100. What a performance in terms of 161 yards on 9 catches. Titans are 3-1 in the Mike Vrabel era, while the Eagles, another heartbreaking loss.
Yep. The NFC East is now officially open season.
Oh yes. As for the AFC South, this could be the Titans' year. Mm-hmm. The way they're playing, and they beat Jacksonville already. They have the tiebreaker over them.
They already have it on them, but there's so much that could happen there.
Oh yeah, between now and the end of the season, anything is possible. That's why I love the NFL. Seahawks, Cardinals. Basically, it's advantage and Janikowski gets the game winner as time expires. They win 20-17, and the unfortunate injury of Earl Thomas and the flipping of the bird to add to boot.
Hey, I'll give the finger up. Thumbs up. Thumbs up.
Yeah, you had me going
no.
Don't do that on live TV. No, but
thumbs up.
Yeah, believe me.
It's heartbreaking. We understand. It wasn't for the coaching of the players. We understand.
The fact that he fractured his lower leg and he wanted out of Seattle, I think he was so frustrated with Seattle that he wanted out. He wanted to be in Dallas, and that's why the week before when he bowed to the sideline to show him, you should have got me, when he had the 2 interception, 7 tackle performance in that victory. But now his future is sort of...
It's tough because this is the second injury on the same leg that he was out, I believe, was it 2 years ago or 3 years ago?
I think it was
2 years ago.
And this time around, he fractures the leg, and he's really trying to, show the other teams in the league that I'm still...
He's elite. Like, before that game, I think, what were they saying? He was like one of the top defenders running around with all the picks and everything and the tackles. The man is a performer. He's 30 years old, so he's not a young kid, but then again, he's not old and decrepit. He's still getting it done. But now that you've broken your leg for a second time, the second problem, a lot of teams are going to have a hard time with that medical judgment call. Do we sign him? Do we bring him in? Do we take that chance, or do we go with some younger kid who has a full bill of health and a perfect body with no problems?
Yep. And I hope everything is well for him. We at the Blitz on wish you a speedy recovery and hope that you get back to football activities for next year. As for the Cardinals, what really got lost in the story, well, not lost, but a big loss was for Josh Rosen in his his first start. And really, a bunch of receivers missed. He could have had 3 touchdowns in this game if it wasn't for his receivers dropping
passes
left and right. He had 108 yards total in this game, and it really killed me because this kid really played his best. So I don't think it was his fault. It was his receivers, without a doubt, and they lost 2017. They're still the only winless team on the year. They're 0-4. This was years before they even moved to Chicago when they were to St. Louis when they were in Chicago. That's how bad things are in the desert right now. And then you look at the Bengals-Falcons game. This was the heartbreaker of the day, but yet it was what you would like to see in a football game. Compelling.
Yes, down to the wire. You don't know who's going to win it, and it comes down to 2 gritty teams, who wants it more, who's hungry, and who's going to fight to the whistle, and who's going to give up. But neither one gave up. It was a heartfelt win and a heartbreaking loss.
And a gruesome injury to Tyler Eifert. Do
tight
not
end.
watch it. If you do not want to be grossed out, I suggest you should never, ever watch.
Ooh,
yeah.
that ankle. Oof.
It would almost remind me of the NCAA game. Remember when I think it was the Louisville Cardinals, or it was a player on the Cardinals who had that horrific injury, and it was right on the court? It was reminiscent of that. That's how bad this was, and now he's done basically for the year, and who knows?
It could be career ending. Something that, oof.
Yeah.
All the tendons, ligaments in your ankle, you might not be able to run at full speed ever again.
And what's heartbreaking, he got a 15-yard touchdown catch in this game. Well, anyway, let's set it up for you. They're down. They're basically the Falcons have the lead. They're trying to maintain it. They got the Bengals going up the field on a 75-yard drive in about 4 minutes. 2 passes on 4th down to Tyler Boyd, who had 11 catches of 100 yards in the game. And it's towards the end of the game with 7 seconds remaining. Dalton gets the ball, rolls to his right, finds A.J. Green, the hometown kid from Georgia Tech, in the right corner of the end zone. 13-yard touchdown, game winner. Bengals beat the Falcons 37-36. Gio Bernard in place of Joe Mixon, 69 yards on the ground with 2 touchdowns. But Matt Ryan had 3 scoring touchdowns on the day, 2 to Calvin Ridley. Ridley in the last few weeks alone, he had a 3 touchdown in 1 week. He had a 2 touchdown this week. This kid has had 7 touchdowns.
A force to be reckoned with, and it's almost to the point where you keep doubling up Julio and letting him go. Once they slide over and go, well, maybe we should try to double up Ridley, I'm telling you, Julio's going to destroy you.
Oh, yeah. Here we go. All right, we're going to sort of zip through some of these games right here. Sunday Night Football, Ravens, Steelers, AFC North rivalry. Hard-hitting drama as always, but the win, of course, goes to the Ravens. Joe Flacco and company shut out, and I mean they shut out the Steelers in the second half and reduced them to 19 rushing yards.
Yes.
Baltimore's defense did a great job, making James Conner look like an average running back.
Yeah. I think they were even talking about Le'Veon Bell.
Coming back?
I think coming back. They were saying, I don't know if it's fake news or real news, but they said that the Steelers were going to offer him $47 million for 3 years. Did you hear anything like that?
I haven't heard, but I heard week 7 or 8 is the report that's coming out now that he could possibly be back. He's holding out.
He's going to come back on the bye week. The man's a thinker. You get paid for the bye week, so he can just walk in there, get his paycheck, and then decide what he's going to do for the following week.
And Antonio Brown, he's got to be incredibly frustrated with the way this team has gone 1-2-1 this year. This is not Steeler football, that's for sure.
Definitely not.
And the fact that Flacco and company, Alex Collins and John Brown got receiving touchdowns off him. Flacco 363 yards, and yet Pittsburgh's been outscored 71-30 in the second half on the season. That really is an indictment on their defense. The offense is losing in key situations. And the Cleveland game, really, week 1, they should have won that.
Yes.
T.J. Watt helped them in that game. If it wasn't for T.J. Watt blocking the game-winning field goal, they would be 1-3.
1-3.
Yeah. They would be 1-3 if it wasn't for that. And the Bills-Packers game right here, let's just put it this way. The Bills are so terrible and unwatchable. That last week victory against Minnesota was a fluke.
Yeah, fluke.